If you ever looked at your bank account and thought, am I holding too much cash or not enough? Then this video is for you. Maybe you saved up a decent amount, but now you're unsure of what to do next. Look, I get it. Part of you feels safe seeing that cash sit in the bank account, and another part of you worries that you're falling behind by not investing it. And there's so much contradicting advice that you don't know what's optimal. One person says cash is trash, you should just invest everything. And another person comes and says, hey, you need a massive emergency fund or you're just irresponsible. So if you felt stuck between those two extremes, you're not doing anything wrong, because this is one of the most common and frankly, quietly stressful money decisions that people face. So by the end of this video, you'll hopefully understand how much cash you actually need, what cash is for and what it's not, and how to invest without feeling reckless. And most importantly, how to actually feel confident instead of second guessing yourself each and every day. Let's start with why this feels harder than it should. The cash versus invest question isn't necessarily about math. It's actually about fear and uncertainty. You know, cash feels safe because it's visible and stable. You can touch it, you can count it, and it doesn't move. Now, on the other hand, investing feels abstract. The numbers go up and down. The rules aren't necessarily always clear, and the consequences feel like they're just a lot bigger if you make one mistake. And on top of all of that, most financial advice ignores context. Here's what I mean. Someone with no debt and a stable job needs a very different cash buffer than someone that's self-employed with variable income. But online advice rarely makes that distinction, so people end up asking the wrong question, which is, how much cash should everyone keep? That's not the right question. The better question is, what role does cash play in my life and how much do I need for that specific role? Because once you understand that, the decision becomes just much clearer. And this decision gets even easier when you look at it through 4 clear principles. Now, these principles define the purpose of cash, investing, and when each one of those makes sense for you. So let's start with the first one. Principle number 1, cash has one job, and that's stability. Cash is not an investment. You should look at cash as just insurance. Its job is not to grow. Its job is to actually keep you stable when life gets messy. I'm talking job loss, medical expenses, car repairs, and just unexpected travel. If you expect cash to grow, you're always going to feel disappointed. But if you understand it as stability, it starts to become and feel incredibly valuable. Now, this mindset shift alone reduces just a lot of unnecessary stress. Principle number 2, your emergency fund is a function of risk, not a rule. You've probably heard rules like 3 months of emergency fund or 6 months or 12 months if you're being conservative. Now, these aren't necessarily wrong, but they're incomplete. A better way to think about your emergency fund is this. The more unpredictable your life, the more cash you need. So let's kind of just, let's break that down a little bit. So you generally need less cash if you have a stable job, your income is predictable, and you could find another job quickly. On the flip side, you generally need more cash if you're self-employed or commission-based, your income fluctuates, and your industry is just volatile. So instead of asking, is 3 months enough, you should instead ask, how quickly could I recover if something went completely wrong? Now, that's the real question. And for many people, that answer lands between 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. And I'm not talking lifestyle spending, but only true necessities. Now, I'm pretty sure some of you, if not most of you, are thinking, man, all of that just to say 3 to 6 months of expenses, that's what everyone says already. Now, it may seem that way, but stay with me, because principle number 3 is where most people quietly get this wrong, and it's costing them years of progress. Principle number 3, extra cash is usually hidden fear. Now, listen, this is where I gotta step on some toes. A lot of people have $20, $30, or $50,000 sitting in cash, and they still have debt. I'm talking credit cards, student loans, and car loans. And they probably think they're being responsible because they either got a very low interest rate, or they're waiting on student loan forgiveness, or sometimes they just don't want to touch their emergency fund. But let me tell you the truth. That's not wisdom. That's just fear mixed with justification. You're not holding on to that extra cash because it's smart. You're holding on to it because you don't want to let go of this safety blanket. Here's the part that nobody says out loud. You'll never have true financial peace while you still owe somebody money, right? I don't necessarily care how low the interest rate is, and I don't care how good your credit score looks. Debt is still a weight on your back. And just, I guess, let me go on this tangent. From a character standpoint, let's just keep it real. If you borrowed money, you should pay it back, not try to hide behind loopholes or wait on politicians or just play these mental gymnastics. Just pay it, get it off your back, and just close the chapter. Because once you do that, you create this new identity that says, I don't borrow money. In addition to that, here's a nugget of insight for you. Cash beyond your stability needs doesn't necessarily reduce risk. It actually just shifts the risk. Here's what I mean. It does reduce short-term volatility risk, but simultaneously it increases your long-term purchasing power risk. This is because inflation slowly erodes unused cash, not dramatically, but just very quietly. Now, I'm not saying that you should just go out there and just rush to invest. I am saying you just need to recognize when cash is no longer serving its purpose. And at that point, the question becomes, what should this money be doing for me instead? Principle number 4, investing is for long-term goals, not peace of mind. This is one of the most important distinctions in personal finance. You see, cash buys you peace of mind, and investing buys you future options. Both of these serve very different emotional and practical roles. You see, when you invest, you should invest money that you won't need for several years or that you can leave untouched during market downturns and that you just want to grow with the economy over time. Now, on the flip side, you should never invest money meant for emergency expenses or just short-term purchases. If investing money would keep you up at night, that money is not ready to be invested yet. So here's a clean, simple framework that you can use immediately. Think of your money in just 3 buckets. Bucket number 1, stability. Emergency fund, short-term needs, predictability. This bucket is boring, and that's the entire point. Now, bucket number 2, growth. I'm talking long-term goals, retirement, wealth building. This bucket is going to fluctuate, and that's normal. And then finally, just bucket 3, that's just for your life and spending. Enjoyment, experiences, just value-based purchases. You see, problems happen when money is in the wrong bucket. I'm talking when emergency money gets invested, long-term money just sits idle, and lifestyle spending gets disguised as savings. So once you organize money this way, decisions just become much clearer. Here's something that rarely gets said clearly. You don't need to optimize this perfectly. You don't need the exact right percentages because most financial harm doesn't come from being slightly conservative or just slightly aggressive. It actually comes from just acting out of fear, acting out of pressure, and just acting without understanding. So if you understand why your cash is where it is and why your investments are where they are, you're already ahead of 95% of the people. So the most important takeaway from this video is this. You don't need to rush. You just need to understand. Money gets easier when it has a job. You see, most people don't have a money problem. They just have a decision problem. They keep asking themselves, what's the perfect move? What's the safest play? Or what if I mess up? And that hesitation just keeps them stuck for years. So the thing is, you don't need to move fast. You just need to move on purpose because cash without a job is just fear sitting in a bank account. And investing without understanding is just gambling in a suit. But when every dollar has a role, I'm talking for stability, for growth, or just for life and enjoyment, money stops being emotional and starts being predictable. And this is when peace shows up. Not because you're rich, but because you're in control. Thanks for watching.